Okay, so I just decided to go ahead and start this whole new dimension 5D subject off right after the 2025 video, equaling the number 9, bringing it up in that video. I don't want to talk about too many things in this one video. The one dimensional aspect in that I want to talk about in the dimension shift, the energetic shift, is time. And some things that you might start to see, you've already seen it, but we might see it more, is the really the speed up of time, where it feels like time is sped up, but it's like, or losing track of time. Because it's like, asking yourself the question, ask other people, like, dang, where did time go? Like, what is going on? Why does things seem like they're moving fast? And it's really because in the energetic shift that we made, time is not measured the same. That's, my friend, is what so many people, the Saturnian people, okay, now, when I say the Saturnian people, I mean the whole karmic realm. Saturn would be the ruler of that. But Saturn already knows that energy is trying to get people to understand and know. When you burn up karma, all right, is when you come to the truth and the reality of what it is that you're doing consciously. And then you do something different. And why am I emphasizing this? Because it is so freaking hard for people to do stuff different. They will go to war. They will stand on wrongness. Just because it's what they believe, just as because it's their program or a program that's running out, even when it's no good. Even when it's no good for themselves, it's no good for nobody around them, and then they will stand steadfast in it, in the wrongness. So time, I'm gonna ask you, okay, so let's go here. We're gonna take two different scenarios, and then you guys tell me, in your response. I'm gonna try to make this as understandable as possible. So let's take a situation. Okay, you imagine yourself, put yourself somewhere that you just don't want to be. You don't like being at. You don't want. Put yourself in detention or something. I don't know. And just imagine yourself just sitting there. You don't have any entertainment. You're not seeing the typical people that you pass by, the usual people. You pass by in the hallways, you joke around. At least, being in the class that you don't like being in, that might be one thing. But okay, well, my time is going to be up after a certain amount of time. And then I can go talk to my friends. And then I can go to the class that I do like. Things that you speed it along, speed time along. And you know what it is, that time is still timing. It's doing its thing. But what makes the difference is when you're in a situation that you prefer not to be in versus a situation and things and interests that you prefer to be in. And when you're in those situations that you prefer to be in, you forget about the time. You literally forget about the time. Not even thinking about it. And then next thing you know, the bell is ringing and you're like, man, where did time go? I'm not ready to get out of my favorite class. I'm not ready to go home. Think of it like that. Because versus it being something that you enjoy doing, when you're enjoying something and you're in the moment, you're not really thinking about the time. You're not. It's just happening. A person that spent time in prison, like for years at a time, they can a lot of times recall a lot of things that happened to them during that time. They can even be in places to where like they get triggered and then they start having these flashbacks, or they start feeling like they're reliving out certain events that happened to them, because it was more than likely an event of trauma that's happening to them, right? Versus somebody that is just wild and free and having fun and living life and traveling, going to their favorite amusement parks, having fun with family, just living it up. Even that same prisoner, before they get locked up and they just out free doing whatever they're doing, they're not thinking about time the same. I mean, for the most part. So this is what the energetic shift is about. It's about a lot of people collectively, even though we're not perfect and no, we have not solved everything. Collectively, you're starting to see people connect these dots and say, hey, I was abused. I was lied to. I was mistreated. And we're not necessarily, there's certain situations we could put direct or place direct blame on. And there's other situations where people obviously did not know any better. And these sequences of events or unfolding of events was kicked off, ushered off by the enlightened beings. Some people call them the chosen ones. I look at it like this, just like the 9, baby. When you wake up, you do things differently. And you got to be bold enough to walk in it. And you got to be bold enough to stand in it. And you got to be bold enough to look everybody else in the face and say, you know what? I really don't care what you think, how you see me, what you got to say. I don't really care, because I'm looking at me, baby. I'm looking at you. And your life ain't looking like it's supposed to be looking. And I can dare to say that because I know what I'm talking about and I know what I'm doing. And guess what? I went through the fire. If you look at the people, the individuals that can sit, look at, like I keep on saying, I reference Jesus a lot of times, because even though people tell you do not blaspheme Jesus, don't do that. Till this day, he is somebody sacred. He had a calling. Do you think during those days, during those times when God really sent Jesus down, when Jesus really incarnated down to come and make changes and teach people different and tell them, hey, baby, the age of you just going and, want everything your way, being extra selfish, the age of Aries, baby, you think that you getting people to transition out of that into a different way of being, you think that they was just so accepting of what Jesus had to say? No. And we see it. We know that already. So was there just one Jesus? Okay, well, the spotlight was put on and placed on his life, but there was other people, there was other individuals as well that was doing this teaching. Just like now, in the changing of the age, and people having to educate other people through not just through doing, but exposing them to information, exposing them, helping them awaken and take a look at themselves, like, because there's nowhere else to go. It's like you can't. This is why we keep having the back and forth on what men is supposed to do, what women is supposed to do, and we know the natural basis of these these individuals and what it is that they're doing and how they're living, baby. But if you keep trying to approach it the same, it ain't gonna work. It's just not. And this is in everything in throughout life and whatever it is that we're doing. But understand that the knowledge and the understanding comes by way of people that can pave the way and can live that life, and then show other people how to live that life and not even just that. You have agents, you have, I call them agents, but I'm saying you have individuals that high or divine, or just individuals that's come here to do a duty, that's come here to pay it full service, to do they thing. They've here we go with our space suits, or with our earth suits, with our avatar suits, however you want to put it. Here we go with the soul, the spirit. Because and you can tell these people, you can tell these individuals, because you can feel them when you're around them. They don't in individuals that are here to do these jobs, you don't fit in. Typically, you don't fit in with everybody else, but people could resonate with you, even if they could be doing the same work as you, or they could be doing something completely different. But you will know them when you see them by the fruits of their labor. So these in the devices, these computer devices, these electronics, this technology is helping get the word out really fast. But what happens is, collectively, people are getting it. It's being pushed, and even if they collectively haven't made the choices to say, hey, I'm going to live differently. It's when you drive a car, it's cranked. You have to crank it first, right? So it's cranked. It's in a position of knowing, like, okay, so my next thing is going to be moving, right? I got to move, but it has to be cranked first. So you might have a person to crank up their car, but they might just sit there because they might want to just sit there and talk on the phone. You might have a person to crank up the car. They need to let it warm up a little bit, whatever. And you might have a person crank up their car and get up and go ahead and say, hey, no, I'm driving. So we have people at different places, but do you not understand how powerful just the word is? Word. Somebody can hear something, they can choose to tune it out, but that don't mean that they didn't hear it. It's levels to consciousness. But the fact that collectively a lot of people are waking up, they're starting to see through like information, through just things that's being exposed. They're starting to see like, wow, like what? Like there's something going on. Like I have to pay attention to this, or I know that it is, even though if I don't even know exactly everything that it is. And because of that, it's bringing this energy together that shifts the timeline and shifts karma. Because if you was abused, but you made the decision to no longer abuse other people because you know, like, I don't want that. Like, I don't like the way that it is. So really in return, you chose to do something different because you got it. You had the awareness of why you don't want to do something like that to somebody else. You are then in return protecting other people. Therefore, it's not the same karma. The cycle doesn't have to repeat. Pain and abuse is, I'm talking like unconscious, like a lot of unconscious or subconscious pain and abuse, meaning when someone, and it could be conscious too, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of people turn around and they do things, even just this basic nature of people to do things. When you learn, okay, it's just like teaching a kid how to tie their shoe. They don't know how to tie their shoe until you teach them how to tie their shoe. And when they learn how to tie their shoe, now they don't need you to tie their shoe. Now they're able to tie their shoe because they know, okay, I learned. This is education. I learned. This is not even just this is not necessarily education, but I'm saying it's in a sense of institutionalized education, but it's just something that you're learning. Okay. So it's just the same. Now the kid is tying the shoes. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the same as when you're teaching somebody something that they didn't know. Maybe they knew it, but they didn't. Behavior is what this is about, because people act out a lot of their subconsciousness. And they'll tell you all the time, I don't know what happened. Like, I just feel like I didn't have control over myself. Whether that's true or not, I could see how a person could snap and, acting out of their subconscious and then coming to and realizing, like, okay, why was I doing that? Even you can tell yourself, like, okay, I know that I have the capabilities to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I need to stop myself. And you can still find yourself doing that same thing that you said that you need to stop, because you have to work with yourself. You have to bring it out. Like hiding, ignoring, that's not going to help. You have to have that awareness and that enlightenment to say everything. I don't need to act on everything. Or why am I? Why am I doing it? Some people really just don't care. But I'm just telling you, this is how things shift. So now you find yourself being like, dang, like, what do we do now? What's happening next? Oh, you're going to continue to watch the show. Except for it's the real show. It's the behind the scenes. But the ones that I'm telling you still, and I'm not saying that you can't be proactive, because you can, because I feel like you have to also understand that with this shift in understanding time, a lot of stuff that you know in the way that you know it, you got to make that shift too. But like I was saying at the beginning, this is something that people have. Okay, and I said, you bring me back to what I was saying, the Saturnian rules, the ones that stuck in the rings. Okay, the souls that stuck in the rings. They a lot of times don't want the shifts to happen, or they, for whatever reason, okay, or they feel a fear, okay, a fear of the shift happening, because it's like, oh my God, I can't let go of what I thought life was. I can't let go of this belief system or that belief system. I can't let go of, my behaviors, because I want to be dominant over women, because I want men to be my servant. I don't know, or women to be my servant, because I want to have ownership over this person, or over this situation, because I want to have the control. Fake, false control. That's where abuse comes in, because the reality is you're not really controlling. You're not really thinking that what you think you're in control of, you're absolutely not. You're just possessing the person through what you can hold against them. What you can dominate them with. But time starts to, as people release themselves, you release yourself. Spiritually, you release yourself from the rings of karma. And I'm not saying that karma don't happen ever again. I'm saying that if a person can be aware of certain things, they can easily say, okay, you know what? I know that what's going to happen. I already seen this before, or I know what I don't want to happen. So let me choose to awaken. Let me choose to do things differently. Let me choose another alternative. And there will be many people, and as we get further and further along, that may not energetically make the shift. And it's okay. For the people that choose to, like I'm saying, just understanding the thing of time, you have, and this is one of the greatest secrets that people that before that did not necessarily have access to certain information, because certain information wasn't released amongst the public and the masses of people for different reasons. The gods, the beings that rule us just felt like, hey, they're not ready for that, for whatever reason. But there were people that were still trying to tap into that anyways, and they were thinking, and they felt like, okay, well, if I tap into the younger souls, the newer souls that's being born into the planet, the kids, I can access higher, further knowledge. This is where you get the sacrifices and the predatory behavior of even certain people that we're seeing being exposed today. And it ain't just them, but I'm just saying that's okay. So, but I don't want to keep this too long, but time. If you can just let yourself, don't imprison yourself with time. No matter how much people try, especially if you're a person that's been actively working on yourself, you are actively going through your awakening stages. You're not fighting against it. Do not let these people, okay? Don't let these vamps that choose to not do that and still living in delusion. They will tell you that you're delusional all day, but nothing in their life makes sense. They in situations, they with people, they in lifestyles that they really don't want to be in, that they don't, and they trying to tell you, they got demons that they got to face, and they trying to tell you that you are delusional. That's some wacky, ain't that about a I just laugh at people now. Because once upon a time, y'all have to understand, once upon a time, years ago, I let those same people make me feel like something was wrong with me, made me feel like I needed to change. I was wrong. Something was wrong with me. But I was making enlightened, awakened decisions I had mistakes. I've experienced life, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying I made these, there was multiple situations that I was in where I made enlightened decisions, and I was persecuted for making decisions that benefited other people, and I was persecuted. Now, baby, I don't tell them no more, baby. I just live the life, baby. I just show up. You see what I'm saying? I just show up. And letting them know, like, there's nothing, and this is what you gotta do. You gotta let these people know there ain't nothing that you can do, nothing you can say, nothing that you can, none of that. I don't want none of your ish, okay? I don't want your purses. I don't want your bags, baby. I don't want your dirty money, baby. I ain't selling out myself for you. Okay, so I'm going to continue on about the energetic shifts. Okay, so please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, because you know I'm going to be back.